This is what people that don't live in Southern California imagine it to be, which is absolutely a perfect 10 on this gorgeous September 12th evening. My name is Vance Palm. This is Bakersfield College Football, brought to you exclusively on News Talk 1180, the new 96.1 KERN, and of course on Bakersfield.com. This is the pregame show. Bakersfield College Renegades tonight down south in the Huntington Beach, Costa Mesa area to take on Golden West College. And as always, we are joined in our pregame by my good buddy and longtime scribe for the Bakersfield Californian, Jeff Evans. Jeff, good to see you, Jeff. As we always do, before we talk about tonight's game, we go back 7 nights and we talk about the previous game. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it just ain't so much fun. To quote my English teacher, but let's go back 7 nights ago and talk about a tough opener at home at Memorial Stadium against Riverside. Give us your snapshot memory of a tough night.
Well, Riverside right now is ranked #1 in the state, and frankly, after watching them in person last week, I can see why.
Well, hang on a minute. Do you really think so, or did we not play well? Is that a number one team?
Well, you know what? I mean, I don't think Bakersfield played particularly well, but on the other hand, that team was so dominant. It's going to be really, that was a great gauge in order to see how good this, if you're going to win a state title, and that's always the goal of Bakersfield College every year, at least to get into the playoffs and hopefully go as far as possible. Now you know pretty much who the guys are to beat. I mean, for many years it was Mount Sac who played them in preseason games. Riverside last year beat Bakersfield 51-3. Last week it was 33-14, and frankly it could have been a lot worse than that. When you turn the ball over 3 times inside the 20-yard line, costing you 17 points, you really dig a hole. And very athletic, very quick team. But again, Bakersfield, now you have to forget about that game. It's now you got 9 games left, and you got to turn things around, and it starts tonight. And this team is not Riverside, I can tell you that. They had a nice first win. They beat LA Harbor. But LA Harbor was a 1-9 team last year, not exactly a juggernaut in the state. So this is, and also Bakersfield College is no LA Harbor, so this is going to be a step up in competition for Golden West. And I think Bakersfield's going to enjoy seeing a team that isn't quite as dominant tonight on the other side.
That's the voice of Jeff Evans. This is the pregame show here. Bakersfield College Renegades traveling south. The first away game tonight at Orange Coast College campus, but we're playing Golden West College, the Wrestlers, or the what is the it's the Rustlers. We're playing the Rustlers tonight. I always have a tough time with that mascot. Jeff, what did we glean positively from last week?
Well, really not a lot, honestly. I mean, because when you're looking at most of the time when there was tackles made, they were well past the line of scrimmage on the defensive side, and on the offensive side, Tarek Yagi did not have a lot of time to throw, and the running backs, Curtis McGregor, who's most people know he's a very outstanding running back, had 44 yards rushing last week and 15 carries. So I think his longest run was an 8-yard run. The longest run for Bakersfield was a scramble by Yagi for, I think, 14. So, there really wasn't a whole lot to shout about, on the offensive side. On the defensive side, when Dominic Frash, who had 15 tackles as your leading tackler as a cornerback position, that tells you how far downfield people are going when you're making that initial contact. Again, when you're playing a dominant team like that, and again, now you know where you are. You know areas you got to get better if you're going to be competing at that level. But so anyway, what you take from it, what you learn from it. You try not to turn the ball over, and you try to. They always say the biggest improvement in football teams is usually between weeks 1 and 2, and so we'll see tonight if Bakersfield College takes a step forward and makes an improvement. And if they turn the ball over 3 or 4 times and get 100 yards in penalties or more, then it's going to be a long night.
You stole that quote from Kirk Boyer, by the way, between weeks 1 and week 2. You guys are about the same age. So I don't know who stole what from what.
Well, I'm a lot older than him, but that's another story.
You got that one from KB. All right, Curtis McGregor. We're so happy to have him back this season. We talked a lot about him in the summertime. He's healthy. He's here. But doggone it, last week, 44 yards.
Well, again, how much of that is because you're running into a dominant, you're talking about 280 to 300-pound lineman that can really move, very quick, very powerful at the point of attack. And so that really wasn't Curtis McGregor's fault. I mean, he's running hard last week all the way through, and there just wasn't anywhere to go. And, the Bakersfield College offensive line really got manhandled by the defensive front of Riverside. And so, again, you'd like to see tonight probably a little bit more even competition that way, and then hopefully the Bakersfield skill will actually step forward in this game tonight. I think you really have to look at it that way rather than, again, that was a completely different type of a team that you're not going to see a Riverside caliber team on both sides of the ball week in and week out if you're going to go 0-10.
Okay. The next question. We always talk about too much is on the shoulders of the quarterback when they don't do well. Not enough credit goes to them when they win. I'm going to just get right to it. Where are we with Tarek Yagi?
Well, you know what? Honestly, again, this is going to be a better gauge tonight. Again, this is really the game where we're going to see where we are with Tarek Yagi, and I think that's really what you want to see. I mean, what is he going to take a step forward from last year? He threw for 2,000 yards last year. There's only the fifth quarterback in the history of the program to do that, and last week he threw for I think 145 yards. So he's, you've got to have a better, better effort by your sophomore quarterback that started all last year. I think he's going to be showing a lot better abilities against these other teams. And again, not that these are pushovers. I mean, Golden West is in a good league, and Long Beach next week's a very good team as well. And both had good wins in the first week. The league is going to be strong. I mean, my goodness, Canyons just obliterated Mount Sac last week, 30-6, and Ventura beat Fullerton 31-0. I mean, it's going to be a real tough league this year. So there's really these pre-league games are really crucial for Tarek Yagi and the offense and defense to really take strides forward to get ready for that league play, because that's really going to be the whole season, is if you can do your job in your league play.
That's a great point, and I feel like I am the luckiest guy. I work with two gentlemen that do a lot of homework. Listening to you and listening to Kirk Boyer is like stereophonics, listening to all the numbers you guys are able to dig up. Before we go to break, because when we come back to break, the second segment is dedicated to listening to what Coach Chudy has to say. Before we go to that, just very quickly, what do you know, what have you gathered about our opponent tonight, Golden West?
Well, it's funny. They've got they had a very good all-around game last week. Their quarterback, threw for 4 touchdowns. Their defense ran an interception back for a touchdown. They had a running back who ran for over 100 yards, and their quarterback's a freshman. So you have a freshman running back, freshman quarterback. They always get good receivers down here, so they're going to chuck it up. And but again, we're going to see how Bakersfield grows from one week to the next week. And this game is a passing game now. I mean, Bakersfield's going to try to run the ball, but ultimately, if they can, they're going to have to control the Golden West passing attack. Last year, the offensive player of the year in the state was from Golden West College. He was a sophomore. They have a freshman that came in. He had a very good first game. And again, Harbor was not one of those type of teams that's going to be that dominant. So this is going to be a better test for Golden West as well, to face a Bakersfield College team. And there are going to be a lot of nickel and dime formations, I'm sure, by the secondary. And again, if they can contain the running back and make sure he doesn't kind of get off, they should be fine tonight, and we'll see what happens.
That is the voice of Jeff Evans. This is the pregame show for Bakersfield College football. When we come back, we will hear from our head coach, Jeff Chudy, and yesterday's interview with my partner, Kirk Boyer. Hope you're enjoying the pregame show. We got a really good football game tonight down here in Costa Mesa. You're listening to News Talk 1180 and the new 96.1 KERN, and you're watching on Bakersfield.com. Back in a moment.